2024 was a big year, not just for the WWE, but for pro wrestling as a whole. We saw smaller promotions like TNA really start to make strides in trying to rebuild to what they were previously. And wrestling as a whole is so more obtainable than it was in years past, largely to do with social media. And as for WWE, they obviously, in my opinion, had the best year out of any pro wrestling promotion, starting off in January of 2024 with the big announcement of Raw moving to Netflix, as well as other moves like SmackDown going to USA Network and NXT going to the CW Network. Not only did we get massive news like that, but we also had amazing PLEs where it seemed like WWE really couldn't miss. Now, I'm not saying that every show was perfect. I'm not saying that every show was great, but the good definitely outweighed the bad. And seeing the amount of fans coming back to the WWE after, let's be honest, for a while their attendance was really low. So, you may be asking yourself, why am I bringing all this up? Because this video right here is my best of 2024 video. So how this is going to work is I have set 4 categories: Debut of the Year, Feud of the Year, Return of the Year, and PLE of the Year. And I do also have some honorable mentions to go with my initial picks for those 4 categories. So with all that said and done, let's get into the video. Up first for Debut of the Year, and I think the answer is pretty simple. I think it's the Wyatt Six by a long shot. In my opinion, it was easily the best debut of the year for WWE because it pulled on so many emotions. You had the excitement because we had been building for this moment and the anticipation that was building because let's not forget at the time we still did not know who was going to be in the group 100%. We obviously had the rumors and speculation, but to see it all unfold and see every member in their character just really set it up beautifully. And of course, you had the sadness aspect because let's not forget, this was Bray Wyatt's vision. And it was sad that he never truly got to see it take form like this. And from overall production wise, it was clear that WWE was going to be making strides when it came to their production because the way that this was shot was something that has never really been shot by WWE before. WWE has done a lot of good production work over the years, but this just seemed like it was on a different level because it felt like it was a movie. It felt like you were watching a scary movie. And of course, we obviously got the Chad Gable moment in that entrance, which made it pretty clear that it was going to be Chad Gable as their first feud, but we didn't quite know why they were going to be feuding with Chad Gable at first. Now, fast forward to the end of the year, and we obviously know very well what the Wyatt Six's agenda is. So again, the Wyatt Six debut, absolutely hands down, in my opinion, was the top and best debut of 2024. My honorable mention is Jade Cargill at the Royal Rumble. Again, similar to the Wyatt Six debut, there was so much anticipation built up with Jade Cargill debuting because this was a big moment for WWE because they had taken one of AEW's most profitable and biggest superstars. And it was very clear from the get-go that they were going to make Jade Cargill a megastar. And getting all the little teases, her showing up to NXT, to Raw, to SmackDown, not quite knowing where she's going to go right from the get-go. And then she finally debuted, and the roof nearly blew off that place when she officially debuted. And let's not forget the moments that she had in the Royal Rumble. Obviously, the biggest moment would be eliminating Nia Jax and picking her up because Nia Jax is seen as this dominant women's superstar, which she obviously is, but we've never seen somebody be able to handle her like Jade Cargill did. And we obviously got the seeds planted for the team that was going to form of Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. So again, a lot went into both debuts, but I ultimately think the Wyatt Six was the best, and Jade Cargill's was a very close second for me. Moving along to Feud of the Year, and again, probably another obvious one if you have watched my videos. It was Drew versus Punk. Not only did this feud go pretty much the entire length of 2024, but it had so many moments and every one of them delivered. There was not a single moment, whether it be a match, a promo segment, a backstage segment, whatever it may be, there was no point of this feud where I felt like they needed to move on with it. This feud left me wanting to see more from these two. And this feud really brought out the best in Drew McIntyre because his mic skills improved drastically during this feud against CM Punk. Obviously, we know CM Punk can cook and torch people on the microphone, but Drew being able to hold his own against somebody like CM Punk opens the door for him to have possible feuds with a good mic worker, possibly John Cena. Another thing about this feud is every single moment felt important because Drew was on this quest and CM Punk just kept interfering, whether it be as a special guest referee or him just simply interfering in the match like we saw at WrestleMania 40. And again, another thing that should be mentioned is when this feud initially started, CM Punk was hurt. CM Punk did a large portion of this feud while hurt. And how the story evolved over time when it started out as Drew just wishing that CM Punk got hurt and glad he got hurt at the Royal Rumble, to it turning into the bracelet feud. This was something that we have seen WWE try to do in the past, but this time it just worked. It worked to the point where WWE did what they did best and found a way to make profit from it. Because while this was going on, everything with Taylor Swift and her Eras Tour and everything happening with Taylor Swift and her bracelets, it really kind of mirrored that in this feud. Even going as far as CM Punk referencing himself as to Taylor Swift for guys. Again, every match, every segment felt important and it delivered. No point throughout this feud did I feel like they needed to move on and wrap things up. Moving on to the honorable mention, I have Cody Rhodes versus The Rock. In this feud alone did something that wrestling fans thought we would never see again, and that's a version of the heel Rock character. Wasn't quite the Hollywood Rock heel character, but what we got from The Rock as the final boss really stood out to me. And this really all started from the WrestleMania 40 kickoff show that they had in Las Vegas, where it was supposed to be The Rock taking on Roman Reigns, and then we got the swerve of Cody Rhodes coming in and The Rock bitch slapping him. And not only did we get heel Rock back, but it also made Cody Rhodes one of the biggest baby faces in the company. He obviously was already, but people still weren't fully behind Cody Rhodes at this point, and this allowed them to jump on the Cody Rhodes bandwagon and started the We Want Cody movement. So this feud alone really delivered and made the build for WrestleMania 40 so damn memorable, with The Rock coming back and doing his concerts, to the segment that they had in the rain. The feud was simply fantastic, but for me, it was not better than what we got from Drew McIntyre and CM Punk. Moving on to Return of the Year, and I have The Rock. The Rock coming back for day one really set the tone for the entire year for WWE, and especially set the tone for what was such a memorable build to WrestleMania 40. We just talked about the feud that The Rock had with Cody Rhodes and how it all kind of started with the big WrestleMania 40 kickoff that was held in Las Vegas. And from this return, we got The Rock coming back as a heel, which again is something that wrestling fans never really thought we were going to see again. And we did kind of just talk about it again, but this also built Cody Rhodes up and got people fully on board and fully invested in Cody Rhodes. Obviously, the We Want Cody movement and the just overall build to WrestleMania 40, and then we get to WrestleMania 40 and we have one of the biggest tag team matches of all time take place. And again, this just solidified where WWE was and where it was going and set the tone not just for the year, but also for the build to WrestleMania 40. The swerves that it took us on, thinking that it was going to be the long anticipated match of The Rock versus Roman Reigns, to it shifting to it still being Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes, but Cody Rhodes has to beat The Rock as the final boss in order to get there. So it's kind of crazy just how many things came from The Rock returning on day one. The honorable mention that I have is Roman Reigns at SummerSlam. When Roman Reigns lost to Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 40, he was the heel. He was the mega heel. When he came back, he was the bigger babyface than Cody Rhodes. And the work that WWE did in building up Solo Sikoa and the Bloodline 2.0 into being a group that people just wanted to hate made the return of Roman Reigns feel even more special. The pop that Roman Reigns got at SummerSlam when he made his return was something similar to what you would see from the Attitude Era. This again just really set the tone for where WWE was going next, and that was going to be the Bloodline Civil War Part 2. So, again, both of these returns had so many things going into it, and it also set tones for WWE as a whole, and not just the start for WWE, but also its end to 2024. The fourth and final category of our Best of 2024 video is PLE of the Year. And for me, this was kind of another clear-cut one. WrestleMania 40. WrestleMania 40 could quite possibly go down as the best WrestleMania of all time. When you go back and just take a look at the match card, the matches that we had for WrestleMania 40 pretty much all delivered. The only one that really left a little to be desired was the Jimmy versus Jay match. But aside from that, you had Drew McIntyre taking on Seth Rollins, which incorporated CM Punk, which obviously led into Damian Priest cashing in the Money in the Bank briefcase. And then you had the Night 1 main event, which saw The Rock returning to the ring for a match, teaming up with Roman Reigns, taking on Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes. That match alone would have been perfectly fine because you had something that fans have desperately wanted, and that's a team of some sort between Roman Reigns and The Rock, considering we weren't getting a match between the two. And just looking at the star power that was in that match is something that may not ever happen again. And then you had the Night 2 main event, which just knocked everybody's socks off. Was one of the craziest, insane matches that we have seen, and one of my favorite quotes from this year was Michael Cole during this match, when Michael Cole said that it was the damnedest match he had ever called. And again, this was a match that had so much anticipation going into it, because you had Cody Rhodes trying to finish the story, you had The Rock returning. It looked impossible, but you had the returns of John Cena, you had the return of The Rock, and then you had the return of the goddamn Undertaker. The fact that those three were in the ring once again just speaks to how insane this match was. And again, it all ended with Cody Rhodes finishing his story, a story that took almost a calendar year to finish, but he finally did, and when he did, the reaction from everybody there, and what really drove it home was Samantha Irving's call of Cody Rhodes winning the match. Hearing the emotion in her voice really just made this feel like it was a special moment, which it obviously was. And hearing that emotion just hammered it home and made the emotion really start to come out in a lot of people. My honorable mention for PLE of the Year is Backlash from France. And the number one thing that people are going to talk about for years and years and years now is the crowd and how bananas the crowd was. One of the categories that I almost picked was Best Crowd of 2024, but let's be honest, there was only one, and it was the Backlash crowd in Lyon, France. And the matches themselves were really, really good. We had a fantastic match between Damian Priest and Jey Uso, which obviously saw one of the most memorable entrances in WWE history. You had a fantastic match for the Women's Tag Team Championships between Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair, and the Kabuki Warriors. Again, similar to what we saw with the Night 1 main event from WrestleMania 40, the star power in that match alone is something to truly go back and re-watch time and time again. And then you had Cody Rhodes taking on AJ Styles, which, again, the crowd obviously played a major factor into this one. The crowd literally making the hard cam shake when AJ Styles was standing in the middle of the ring before the match even started. So the honorable mention you can kind of lump into two, because I think it was the second best premium live event that WWE put on, and I also think that it was hands down the best crowd that we saw at a WWE show this year. But ultimately, nothing was going to take the cake from WrestleMania 40. So, those were ultimately the four categories that I decided to go with for my best of 2024 video. And this is where I want to hear from you guys. What did you think of not just my categories, but what did you think of my picks as well? Obviously, these are just my opinions, so yours might be different from what I selected. So I'm genuinely curious, what did you think of my picks? Did you agree with them? Did you not agree with them? What did you agree with? What did you not agree with? And the last thing that I want to hear is, what did you think of WWE's 2024? Did it live up to the expectations? Did it not live up to the expectations? Let me know all that stuff down below in the comments. And while you're down there, swing by the description and click the Linktree link. That link will take you to all of the social medias for this channel. I do suggest going and checking out our X page. Besides YouTube, I am most active over on X. We do updates for every Monday Night Raw, sometimes Friday Night SmackDown, and sometimes the PLEs. I say sometimes because Fridays and Saturdays just get super busy for me at this point of the year and for the next couple months. But I am always going to be available, providing something unforeseen happens. I am going to be available for Monday Night Raws. And above all else, I want the X page to be a place for wrestling fans to go and talk about wrestling. Wrestling is cool on its own, but it makes it so much better when you have people to talk to and nerd out about it. And if you're like me, you don't have a lot of people to talk to about wrestling in your life. So if you are like me and you want to have a group of people to talk to about pro wrestling and WWE, maybe swing by an upcoming episode of Monday Night Raw, join in on the conversation, and maybe it's for you at the end of the day. With all that said and done, that is going to do it for this video here. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit the like button. If you really enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button, because it really helps out the channel a lot, and it's also free to do. I also want to send my best wishes to all of you who watch my videos and have watched any of my content over this past year. It really means the absolute world to me, and I hope you all have a wonderful holiday season and an amazing start to 2025. So as always, stay tuned for more content coming in the future. We'll see you next time.